thing is, and somebody's already asked me this evening, what about the military? Everywhere we look, the situation's confused at the moment. There's massive corruption in the police, but there's a lot of good policemen, and a lot of them are beginning to ask the right questions. Same with the NHS, the same with social services. So we're not saying that this Marxist ideology has turned everybody, but it's doing damage, and we've got to get at the good people. The military, it's also complex. I have absolutely no doubt that we have senior officers in all three services who are total and utter traitors, and we are going to work to expose the worst of them, because they are working for the government's political programme. They are not interested in the defence of this country. I can tell you that a lot of ex-Special Forces people are at the point where they believe appropriate action should be taken, whatever that means. And I can tell you that more and more of the military are realising that Afghanistan is deliberately being used to kill and maim British troops, so that the army is so weakened we have to call on a joint programme with the Europeans. If we allow any of the European armies in this country, we have lost. That is an absolute military fact. And Albert, who I think is still here, is deeply concerned because we're now discovering that people who are not even British are being brought in to be police. And I suggest that when we are faced on the street with two Lithuanian-based officers, their values are not necessarily going to be the same as your local friendly Bobby. So all these factors are there. The good news. In the last few months, we have seen an unbelievable change in people. So the activist groups are forgetting the petty squabbles. We still have a few punch-ups. But if we talk to John Harris, or we talk to what Albert's doing, or we talk what the British Constitution Group's doing, or you listen to what the main major speakers, Ian Crane is another one, they've all got a big chunk of the truth. We may not have it exactly right, but we're now seeing people join together. They have worked to isolate everybody, to make you fearful, confused, mistrustful, antagonistic, and we've got to bring people back together. If you're religious, the churches are shot, absolutely shot. And when I gave a talk in Dublin, somebody asked me very early on, are you a Protestant? And I said, yes, I suppose I am, but I'll qualify it. I've come to the conclusion that the head of the Church of England is a Satanist. And there was a gasp from the audience, and I said, so that entitles me to say I'm highly suspicious of the Vatican. There are ways of dealing with people. And what we are seeing is if you get back to treating people as good, honest individuals until they prove otherwise, you can work with them. So we are seeing this network grow. We know that the cabinet is very frightened at the moment. That's why Blair's paying £600,000 to be protected 24 hours a day. Cameron is so worried about what's happening, and he doesn't like being called a Cabbage Patch doll, but he does look like one. He's so worried, he's telling his team apparently that they're going to legislate against us. And all we've done is got out there and told the truth. So if we can get our 1 million people in the next few months, we're not going to march on Parliament, don't need to. We are simply, in our own ways, going to refuse to cooperate. And I think we're going to see some amazing things happen this year. Amazing. My prediction is, and you can quote me on this year is the tipping point. Okay? It's not next year, it's this year. We either get this thing going this year and life gets better, or our children are going to regret it. And I haven't come all this way for my children to regret it, okay? So you guys are the important people, not me. But you've got to get out there, talk to your friends, talk about what you've heard, what you know, what you believe, and it will happen. Okay? Do a bit of praying as well, because that's important. Okay, thanks. Now, questions? Will we just...
Remember the basic rules. You're free to just sit or stand where you are and ask the question, but more than likely it will be muffled and it will have to be edited.
Come on, be brave and come up to the
Be
front.
brave and come and stand here, be on camera, be on the microphone, and have your say.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I've come here this evening just to listen to you. I've been on the website and you've looked at various papers and so on. I'm quite concerned because I, like you, don't agree that things are going well at the moment in this country. But unlike you, and I've listened to all the different things that you've taken sections on. In particular, I took great offence to your comments about social services,
Right.
service, having worked in both these organisations and had training in NLP to work with people who are mentally ill, but not in the way you've described.
Absolutely.
The statements about social workers taking people out without any backup is absolutely unacceptable. And all it does is actually feeds into, if you read all these things, I'm saddened because there's a feeling of paranoia that comes in there, not from me, but from the things that are listed there. I'm surprised Energy feels positive about anything when they see those statements. I'm not happy with what's happening in the government. I totally agree with you. I think we need to change things. But sadly, the sort of Daily Mail I couldn't see because I have context in of where you've got those articles, the things about the schools and bringing paedophiles in. I'm sorry, I can't buy that. There are paedophiles everywhere. Appalling though it is, they are everywhere.
Everywhere.
Life, and they have been there.
Sorry, they're everywhere.
They're everywhere because they are.
So,
they are there. They're not acceptable.
okay.
I don't like them,
So
and
does,
I don't like them.
if they're everywhere, does that include social services?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. Thank you.
The health service, they'll be in every
Thank you.
organisation, because human nature, sadly, has people who are like that.
Right, and you believe that's acceptable?
Of course I don't.
Okay, so what are we going to do about it?
Well, we're trying through various laws to deal with people.
Well, we're not.
I mean, that's a huge debate, which I can't get into this evening, because I'm not trained in working with them or dealing
you
with
are
them.
involved with social services.
Not now I'm not.
Okay, you were.
Yes.
And I said very clearly just now that we're not saying that everybody who's a police officer or everybody in the public sector or everybody in social services is bad. I didn't...
Well, you've added that in the after of it.
No, no, it's on record because I deliberately said it because it's a very important thing. When you have had a stream of mothers coming to you with their story of how their children were taken away, and initially you're very suspicious because some of them are deeply traumatised, and then mothers come to you and they come with ring files of documents. And what those documents show is false reports, perjury in court, manipulation of the court transcripts, deliberate lies by the police. When you see the documentation, you suddenly start to realise that something very sinister is going on. Now, 2 weeks ago in London, we had a lady join us who suffered unbelievable things. Basically, she was drugged, tied down and repeatedly raped over a number of years in a children's home called Kendal House. When she left as an adult, she spent time finding other girls who'd been similarly treated. She compiled the documentary evidence in great detail, including the massive amounts of drugs they were subjected to. She took that evidence to the police, she took it to counsellors, she took it to social services, and they did not want to know.